My name is Nancy. Welcome to the Knit Sip Happy podcast. I'm coming to you from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada on the East Coast, where it is the end, heading towards the end of November, and it is cold. The weather has finally turned after a beautiful autumn, and it feels very wintry out there now. So I've got a little bit of red wine today. This is an Italian Dolcetto, a little bit lighter bodied while I talk to you today. Nothing too robust, but it's lovely. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram as Knit Sip Happy and on Ravelry also as Knit Sip Happy. I sell sock patterns and they can be found on Ravelry. All of the links will be down below. As usual, I will keep all of the design chat to a separate section, so if you're not interested, no hard feelings at all. You can just skip through it. But I have quite a bit of knitting to show you today and some chat. In fact, so much chat. Half of my plans are actually going to be in a separate episode next week. Who's ready for the Advents and pre-Christmas warm-up? I've gotten my Advent calendars. I'm looking at them behind the camera. So I have plans for Advent, but I'm not going to get into that today because I have too much stuff to talk to you about. So I'm going to do that separately next week. So what's been happening? I posted a vlog. We went to Halifax for a couple of days, my husband and I, and we caught the end of the lovely weather in the high teens, low 20s in Canada in November is just unheard of. And I know it means probably apocalyptic, awful environmental things, but boy, did we ever enjoy it. It was glorious. So that is there. If you're interested in looking, it was more just for me, for memories, to be able to keep that and look back on it. So yeah. So it's been 4 weeks. Usually it's 3 weeks in between podcasts. This is 4 weeks because of the Halifax, and the day job has been very busy as we're heading into the holidays. There were some deadlines for customers to make wine, and that all ended on Saturday. So things are a little bit more freed up for time and brain space. So I can come and talk to you, hopefully in a manner that makes sense. Words. Good start. All right, let's just get on to the knitting, and I'm sure I will chat all the way through as I do. So we're going to start with finished objects and what I'm wearing all at the same time. I showed you this as an FO last time. This is my Stockholm vest. It is finished. I'm going to stand up and give you a little look, and then we'll talk yarn and modifications and things like that. Can I get far enough away? It's always... Yes, I can. There we go. So I'm wearing this just with a big poofy sleeved piratey feel top blouse that I got from Old Navy. I wore it with a long sleeved white t-shirt last week, and I really liked it with that as well. So I've done it just to the top of my hip bones, but there are decreases in the pattern, so I do get that shaping that I like, and I think the balance is good. Just wearing it with a pair of jeans. Oh, hand knit socks. It's hand knit sock season, people. I have got my socks all washed and laid out, and I've got my favorites that are in rotation now. I'll show you a little clip of my hand knit socks, hand spun socks, doing a little dance on my feet this morning. Here. And then we'll get back to the vest. Okay. Get myself back to where I was. So this was a pretty quick knit for me. This is my second time doing this Stockholm vest, so I was a little more familiar with the techniques. This is a Stockholm vest by Petite Knits. Again, all the details will be down below. I'll link my Ravelry page if there was any notes. I'm trying to think any modifications. The biggest modifications for me are the pickup rates around the neck and around the armholes. When you knit it, the neck and the armholes look huge, and the pickup rate is quite large as well. So both of mine, this is the second one that I've done, I have adjusted and picked up less stitches to kind of suck it in a little bit more, so it's not, just to give it a bit more structure. The first one I might have done it a little too aggressively, so this time I kind of balanced it, I think, a little bit better, because it's not, my other one kind of pinches this blouse and brings it way up into my armpit, so I didn't want that. This time I wanted a little lower, just to be able to wear with this blouse with jeans. As I said, the temperature's been dropping. This might be a little bit cool as we're heading into the colder temperatures. This may not get much wear now until the spring, but if we get some milder days, who knows, it may come out. So I held 2 yarns double for this one, and it was a Shibui silk cloud mohair. And then I had still loads of this left. I had 2 skeins of this. It is a yarn dyer who isn't around anymore, I don't think, Fondant Fibre. It was called Slub Single. So it 380 meters is not a huge amount of yardage, but it seemed to have went a long way. A blend of lamb's wool, silk and linen in the colorway Raspberry. But I do still have a lot left, so I think I have barely used maybe 450 yards. To be honest, I haven't weighed or measured anything, because I wove in the ends, blocked it, and put it on my body the next day, and then promptly probably forgot about you know, all of the weights and measures. So I will try to figure out all that out, and by the time this comes out, it should be in my Ravelry page that is linked below. So other than tightening up the neck and the armholes, I didn't do any other modifications. I can't remember what she recommends for body length, but I always adjust that anyway. I measured it against my first one and then was trying it on as I was going, just to make sure I was happy. The bind off for this, I like to do the Italian sewn bind off for my garments ribbing, especially when you're picking up a neckline. It gives it a really nice, stretchy, but a really nice finished. It's a sewn tubular bind off. I'm not a fan of the traditional tubular bind off. I find it too many steps. So this one is sewn with, you just leave a length of your tail 3 times your circumference that you're going to need, and then it feels a bit Kitchener stitch-ish, but I really enjoy it. The long tail with the mohair on this one, it was a little grippy and a little bit tangly sometimes, but I managed to make it work. And I think the benefit, don't know if I can show you, the benefit to it is it just kind of rolls over the edge, the bind off stitches, so it's not got a hard line, and it is nice and stretchy, because the pattern recommends a tight bind off, and that's because she's picking up so many stitches. So I just kind of turned that on its head a little bit and picked up less stitches, so less stitches for the ribbing, so it's going to be tighter anyway, and then just a slightly stretchier bind off. So that's my Stockholm slip over. I feel like I'm not quite, hang on, there. I want to make sure I'm close enough to the microphone so you can hear me. Okay, so the next FO, if you watch my Halifax vlog, I had taken 5 projects to work on, and I'm going to show you all 5 of those today. Some are still whipped, some are finished, but this was, I don't think I'd started this before when I showed you last time. Like I said, it was a month ago, so I'm sure I didn't. This is the Cargill cowl. By Rebecca of the Crayabea. She released her first design last month, the Cargill sweater, and it was a rollicking success, and I'm looking forward to making this in the future because I found this stitch pattern quite addictive, this dip stitch. Back to the cowl. She released a cowl 2-3 weeks ago. And it's a fundraiser. 100% of the proceeds until the end of November are going to the Fistula Foundation, and I will have the information on the screen. I will also link it below. It's a great pattern to practice the stitch and to swatch. Actually, it can be a swatch for your sweater if you do it in the same yarn. I did not. I grabbed some hand spun out of my stash one of my earlier hand spun, so it was a DK to worsted to sometimes sport. So it's got a little thick and thin action going, but I'm okay with that. My brain disconnected as far as the yarn requirements. I really should have had twice as much yarn as I had. I saw I had 114 grams, went, oh yeah, that'll be perfect. No, it wasn't enough. I needed 380 yards to knit it to the dimensions that Rebecca has in her pattern. But actually I'm okay with this. It's got a slightly parallelogram kind of shape because it said to use a stretchy bind off, and I used one that was too stretchy, so it really flared out. So what I did when I blocked it, I kind of went with that and stretched it out along the bottom to make it a little wider on the bottom, which is never a bad thing for a cowl. But this dip stitch pattern is super fun. It's actually upside down. The dip stitch, the way you knit it is this way. And it's really addictive. I really enjoyed it. It was, no, it wasn't. I was about to say it was a bit faffy, but it wasn't. It's just a matter of getting the rhythm and getting the feel for the way you have to move your needles. But it's quite addictive. I finished this quite quickly, and spoiler, I have a second one on my needles already. So I don't even, this was early hand spun. I didn't even have a tag on it as to what the fiber is. It feels really nice and squishy. I'm wondering if there's some alpaca. It's got quite a bit of a halo going on as well. I'm just gonna, I'll put it on and show you what it looks like, because even though it's short, I think it does the trick. It stands up quite nice. You can, tuck it under your chin if you want to. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, even though it is short, oh, look at that. Let's hide the chins. So this will be going into my Christmas gift. I'm not sure for who, but somebody will be getting this for Christmas. And yeah, loved it. Finished it in a few days. Can't recommend it enough. The pattern is quite inexpensive, and like I said, it's a great charity product right now until the end of November. And as I said, I will link everything below. Okay, where am I putting everything? I have a huge pile, precariously balanced, a bit like tree rings. So I start with my FOs and I go to my whips, and then I go to things below that I want to talk to, so I can kind of, looking in the screen, it must mean it's time. Back to the camera. All right, I guess I'm just going to pop them on the floor. The next thing that I worked on, I showed you a pair of these last time. These were some hand cranked tubes. This is the second half of the tube that my friend Leanne knit me. These are quite large. One of my coworkers is a lady size 10. I'm looking at these thinking they look quite big. I hope they fit her and they're not too big. So I did cuffs, afterthought heels, and toes in a contrasting yarn. I can't remember what the colorway is for this. It's Knit Picks Static. I'm not sure if they even sell it anymore, but I will link the project page below. So one more Christmas gift to tuck away. And I had taken these to Halifax with me as well. They're still a little damp. I just finished them last night and got them blocking. These are a pair. How fun are they? So these are my Freddie Beach socks pattern. These are also a gift. I'm not going to say for who. And you can see I've just inverted it. I bought 200 gram skeins of her offensive crew. So this is F this and F that. And divided them in two so that my friend and I could have matching sweary socks. So I've just done heels, toes, and cuffs in the blue and the body in the pink, and then reversed it for the second one. So matching, but not matching. And how fun. Just the pops of color. This was so fun to knit because the stitch is just, you get all these different colors, and yeah, the yarn made this an absolute joy to knit. I knit this on my 9-inch circulars. So that's another pair. for birthday / Christmas for a friend that's coming up. Anything else I need to tell you about those? I talked about them quite a lot last time. So the other finished object is this hat, and this was knit out of the Creative Knitter Plant Lady in the Rustic DK. This was one of the yarns that was sent to me very kindly by Stephanie of the Creative Knitter. It was a preview of yarns that she was going to be stocking in the shop. We did pre-orders, but I've talked to Stephanie, and I do believe they will be in the shop, these colors, either as a dye to order or as permanent listing. So keep an eye on her Instagram. So this is just a super long ribbed hat for my daughter that she will cuff. She loves to wear Carhartt. What is that? Oh, that's just an end that I've woven in and trimmed, and it's come poking through the other side. Or maybe this is the wrong side. This is the thing with this hat. Okay. Yeah. So this is the right side. But it's just a 1x1 rib. It's a free pattern on the Pearl Soho website. You can access it through Ravelry. I had to cast this on twice. The first time I did it, I cast on the medium size on the recommended needles, and it felt like it was huge. Like it didn't feel like there was any sucky-inness. You know what I mean? Like rib kind of grips your head. It felt like it was just gonna slide over her eyes. So after about 4 inches, 1x1 rib, I ripped it out and started again on one size smaller needle, and just did the adult small as well. So this will be a nice hat for her. I'll probably save it for Christmas. Yeah, I'll probably save it for Christmas and put it in her stocking or whatever. She knows it's coming, but she might have forgotten. Anyway, Plant Lady, because she is the crazy plant lady in our family. So that is that one. What else do I need to tell you about that? I don't think anything. This is another knit that you haven't seen, actually. I cast this on and bound it off within 4 or 5 days. And I haven't even trimmed off the ends. This came off my needles it came off my needles on Friday night. Then we worked all day Saturday and left straight from work on Saturday and went to my daughter's in Fredericton, which is about an hour and a half away, just for a quick overnight visit. And I'll show you what we got up to later. So yeah, this is a new hat I tested for Jody Brown of the Grocery Girls, Mrs. Brown's Bags. It's called the Friday hat. It will be coming out very soon. Yeah, really fun knit. I loved this ribbing. 2-color, kind of squidgy. And I kind of picked this yarn combo because I found this pom-pom in my stash and thought, well, if that isn't a perfect pairing. This is Yarn Indulgence's, an old DK base of hers, but it's in the Sugar Plum colorway. And again, just a scrap of a kind of steely blue color to put in the bottom to make it a little more subtle. I didn't want it to be too crazy. It'll probably be a Christmas gift. And I try to keep things a little more conservative on my Christmas gifts because you never know with hand knits if they think it's going to be too gaudy or loud or anyway. So this is a pom-pom that has a popper base. So I just need to sew the snap on the crown, but isn't that a lovely crown? It's almost a sin to do that, but that pom-pom is just too perfect with it. So it is an FO. I just need to trim off the ends and sew on the pom-pom. But like I said, it's still a little bit damp. I just blocked it last night. We got home from my daughter's in Fredericton about just before dinner. And I finished off the Freddie Beach socks. And I thought, well, if I'm going to chuck them in some water and block, I may as well do this one as well. So I don't aggressively block my hats, especially in superwash like this one is, because they stretch a lot. So I just dunked it in some cold water with my favorite Yuzu Soak brand wool wash. Squeezed the water out, rolled it up into a towel, left it for about 20 minutes, and then I just laid it out on a blocking mat. I don't pin them or stretch them because I don't want it to be too loose. So that's a new one you've never seen. So it's on the needles, off the needles, and ready to go into the pile. So the last thing I'm going to show you, and I'm not going to, oh goodness, dwell on it too much, is This is, I showed this in my Halifax vlog, and I've got ends issues with here too. These are going to be a new design. They're going to be coming out Wednesday, November 23rd, which is the day this video should be coming out. So these are my first DK sock pattern. So we've got a little texture, a little mosaic slip stitch action, some contrast, so lots of fun. DK socks, knit so fast. Yeah, I cast these on as we were heading to Halifax. My husband drove, so it was a good time for me to kind of get cracking and give it a whirl. This is the small size, the smallest size in the pattern. So anyway, I will talk a little bit more about these towards the end in design chat, so you can hang out for that. I said I don't want to, I'm here for the love of the knitting, not to plug things. So I'll just put these aside and we'll chat about them a little later. That is it. I've gotten through the first layer of the pile beside me. So that's my finished objects for this time. I've gone kind of accessory heavy. It feels like that's what I want to be doing right now. I've kind of lost the garment passion for the minute, other than this vest, to be fair. Yeah, I gained a little weight over the summer. I hate to say things like that, but the orbits that I have been working on has gone into hibernation because I'm not real happy with the fit of it right now. So I'm just going to hang tight on that one. I'm sure I'll be casting on other things, but for right now, I'm just holding firm on that. And I'm not really enjoying just the stockinette around. I'd mentioned that last time. Anyway, so it's bubbling. It's the bag. Marjorie the sheep is staring at me judgmentally as to why I'm knitting all these other things and I'm not touching her. I will come back to Marjorie and my Orbits sweater. So whips, I don't have a terrible ton because I finished so much in the last few days. But I will show you what I got. So I had shown you, I think I had just shown you the yarn for these last time. If you were on the Halifax vlog, I showed you on the Halifax vlog. This is in my Union Jack maple mousse bag. She was a local maker from New Brunswick and doesn't make bags anymore. And I am using some Belfast Mini Mills sock yarn that I had ordered after the PEI Fibre Festival got canceled due to Hurricane Fiona. And I'm using the kind of charcoal. It's super heathered. It's got lots of colors in there. Oh yeah, you can see that. It's blowing out a little bit, but it really gives you a chance to see all those different fun colors. I'm using that for heels, toes, and cuffs because I just have 50 grams of each yarn. And the other one is, for me, it's Periwinkle. It's that color, Pantone color of the year. I thought I better do that if I'm going to use it this year. So I'm enjoying this knit. My biggest, and I don't want to say, the yarn is very unevenly spun. I have to say it's a little bit loosely plied in some spots, and it's got a bit of a thicker thin quality, which is fine. It's just been a little, I have to kind of watch because I find my high needles, high sharps. No, they're high steels, not quite as sharp. Anyway, I find I'm splitting the stitches sometimes, so I really have to watch my knitting. But they're going to be lovely and cozy. They're working out beautifully. So I am knitting these 2 at a time. I had talked about this last time, and my, let me get it up here, my button trick. So I'm just going to pause for a minute and I'm going to I inserted a video when I started working on these with how I set up the button and how it all works. So I'm just going to pause a second and insert that here. So I'm just going to insert this footage into episode 8. I had people inquiring about how I used the button trick I was talking about for 2 at a time socks. So basically, we're going to, instead of dividing my 50-gram skein into two 25-gram balls to knit my socks, I'm going to knit from the inside and the outside of that ball. A way to make it not tangle is just to run these threads through a nice big button with big holes. So I'm going to do that and show you. I have dug out the ends before I started recording. Sometimes I need a darning needle to do this. And I'm probably not going to be able to do it looking at the camera. Hang on one second. So that's the outside. This is the inside of the ball. So it sounds obvious, but just make sure that your yarn is going through the holes in the same direction. As I said, sometimes I'll use a darning needle, sometimes I can just twist it to give it a bit of structure to get through that hole. Hang on one sec, again, trying to look at it through the camera. There it is. So now I've got both strands running through the center of this button. And I'm just going to knit. I'll be back and show you the easiest way to turn so you don't tangle. Okay, so I've just finished my first round casting on. I finished my first half of my first round. The stitches on the back are still black, stitches on the front are blue. I'm just getting ready to turn my needle. I'm just going to show you so you can see there's a little bit of a twist there just before the button. So all I do is I make sure that whatever way that twist is, I twist my work the opposite way, and that stops it from getting very tangled. See, I've taken that twist out of the working yarns. So that's all the button is doing. It's just controlling the twist and stopping it from getting back to the ball. It keeps the twist to the front, so you can just turn left hand or right hand, depending which way you turn your work, and that controls the twist and allows you to work from one skein of yarn, so you only have one ball of yarn for leftovers, not two teeny tiny ones. I hope that helps. If anybody has any questions, let me know, and I may even add more chat after I put it in the podcast. Okay, so I recorded that a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, so I can't remember exactly what I'd said, so I might repeat myself, so bear with. I'm knitting my Smoke Gets in Your Eyes design pattern. This is part of the Fibre Friends MAL that's being run by the Worsted Fibre. They are on Prince Edward Island, Belfast Mini Mills, Simone and Troy. And they are just looking to support some of the vendors who lost out on all that income from PEI Yarn Festival, Fibre Fest, PEI, the yarn show that was supposed to happen in Prince Edward Island, and we got hurricaned out by the lovely Fiona. So it is to knit any of my patterns, which was lovely, with any of the yarns from the vendors from the PEI Fibre Fest. So if you go to the Worsted Fibre podcast Ravelry page, which will be linked below, it will give you all the details, the list of the yarn dyers that are eligible, and also a cheeky little discount for all of my socks patterns. So if you think you might want to join this knit along, head on over there. And if you've got some yarn in your stash, or you've done some shopping for some of the vendors who were at PEI, like Sweet Skein of Mine, Full Moon Fibers, Belfast Mini Mills themselves, Yarn Indulgences. I'm going to forget a whole bunch, but there was a lot of vendors there that were scheduled to be there. Okay, back to the socks. So these will be my entry for the cowl. So this is the front of the sock. The back is just stockinette. I'm knitting them 2 at a time on my 100 centimeter highest steel, not the sharp. They're a little blunter, but still a nice one. So I've just done the heels, and I follow Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady's method for doing heels 2 at a time. She's got a great tutorial on her YouTube channel, and I will link that below. So I've just done the contrast heels, so now I'm working on the gusset decreases and the lovely texture on the front of the sock. So this is my perfect version of a sock. There's a couple rounds of something, and then there's a whole bunch of play knitting. So it just seems to one more repeat, and go really quickly. So I'm enjoying this knit. The socks are delightful. They're going to be super squishy. These will be mine. I tend not to gift hand-dyed or indie dyed yarn. I tend to gift just commercial stuff. My daughter is the only exception because she will machine wash her socks like I do, but then hang them to dry. They don't go in the dryer, and using a delicate wool wash. So yeah, that is one work in progress. I took these with me to Fredericton, and I got a few inches done on these while we were driving and sitting chatting, but then we end up doing some other crafty things, and I'll show you that in a bit. So the button trick for the yarn, I think I explained it in the video that I've inserted. If not, I will pause here and come back and do a little extra blurb, but I think I've covered it already. Stay tuned. The other thing I started, because I'm alarmed at how late in November it is, and I'm kind of looking at my list of people, and I'm missing a few things for people still. So I grabbed another one of my commercial sock tubes that was cranked for me by my friend Leanne. I'm using a dark navy blue yarn. I've done the cuff and I've started the heel, but oh boy, this dark yarn, having to knit in daylight or very bright light, and not with my contact lenses. Okay, middle-aged talk. My vision has gone to complete pot in the last few months. I wear progressive contact lenses, and my reading or close-up work, 12 to 18 inches work, has disappeared. I have to wear readers over my contact lenses. So I have an appointment with my eye doctor tomorrow, 8 months early on my 2-year stint that I'm due to see him. I'm hoping I'm going to get a new prescription and that will fix all of this, because yeah, situational, and having to wear, and having to wear them, these readers over my contact lenses at work as well, and they just make me feel like a granny with glasses perched on the end of my nose, and I'm not a granny yet. Anyway, this is this lovely green, blue, navy kind of fun irregular stripe tube, so I thought these would be fun. Yeah, gender neutral kind of socks. So I'm working on those because I'm still shooting for my goal of total September no gift knitting. So I'm running out of days. I gotta get crack-a-lacking on some of this stuff. I've been super into cowls this year, and I have a lot of people that I gift socks to, and I'm not sure if there's gonna be mutiny if I give them a cowl instead of socks. I've spoiled them. Okay, speaking of cowls, this is in a great bag, wine themed. So this is from a local maker. She doesn't have an Etsy shop yet. Deborah, Yarn Indulgences, if you go to any of her in-person shows, she has had some of Donna's beautiful bags. Donna's a quilter, so this is, you know, nicely interfaced. It doesn't feel like it's batting, but it's nicely interfaced. Really pretty kind of plaid on the inside. But for me, it's all about why limit happy to an hour? Sip happens. Good food, good wine, good times. So it's wine themed. I had to have it. She brought it to a few of her bags, several of her bags, to the knit-in that we had in Sussex, June? Anyway, late spring, early summer. We had a kind of outdoor knit together, and she brought them, and I felt quite targeted and that I had to buy it. So I did. All right. Inside this bag, I've dragged some old yarn out from stash. It's leftovers, actually. Hang on. Oh, needle just fell out. This is some Holst yarn that I have in my stash. I knit my daughter a cardigan using Fairy, and this is the Holst Coast, which is 55% lamb's wool, 45% cotton. If you've probably heard about Holst on other podcasts, this is a lace weight to heavy fingering once you soak and block it. It's still got the spinning oils in it. It doesn't feel oily. It doesn't smell either. I just find it blooms a lot when it is blocked. So this is a super soft pink, and I'm holding it with the Titicaca, which is also from Holst, and I cannot find in this bag. No, they're all the Coast lots. Hang on one second. I've got some more of it down here, and I'll be able to tell you. What it is. Okay. Holst Titicaca, 100% thin, pure alpaca. So I've got it in the purple. This is going into my Elia Isabel Kramer that I've been talking about for months. It still hasn't happened. So I've held these two together before. I knit a long line kind of shawl neck collar cardigan for my daughter back in 2020. Gave it to her just before everything shut down for COVID. Yeah, just before. I think it was the last time we saw her for over 2 months, which was not fun for me. Anyway, so I'm holding these two together for my next Cargill cowl, which I have on my Chowgu short interchangeable shorties. Good for sleeves, good for hats, small circumference things. Sorry if you can hear that beep. I had some laundry in the washing machine and it's going to beep a few times now. So if you can hear that, I apologize. So this is a much finer gauge combo than the hand spun that I just knit it with. So I'm holding the two strands together and it's making a lovely light fabric. And it's really pretty. I haven't done a ton on this because I got close to a whole bunch of finishing quite a few things. So I finished a whole bunch of things and forced myself to put this down. I'm not sure if this is going to be a Christmas gift, so I really need to temper my enthusiasm and get my actual knitting that I need to get done. So by December 1st, it's totally me knitting. It's my Christmas gift to myself. There are no gift knits in December. So if I don't have it done by November 30th, I'm going to try and hold firm that it ain't getting done. So Cargill cowl, as I mentioned, fundraiser for the Fistula Foundation. All the details will be below, and there's still a week or so to purchase that pattern for the full amount to be donated to that foundation as a fundraiser. So that is that. Next is it's a couple design socks, but I just want to show you because I have been working on them. They're works in progress. This is I have a half finished object. This is the Sliptastic DK sock. I did the large size, and this is holding fingering weight double instead of using DK weight yarn because I wanted to see if it changed gauge or what happened with it. So I have one done, and I have a second one on the needles. I've just turned the heel. So lots of ends. All right, so I will talk more about this pattern specifically in design chat, but I've got the heel flap done and I'm working on the gusset dinker decreases. So, and that's on a 3.25 millimeter needle. Both the DK and the worsted were knit on that. So that's, I'll give you more details on that in a few. And the last work in progress, I have showed you these before, and I have one completely finished, and I showed you this before. I also showed you in Halifax. This is using Creative Knitter Let's Stay Home colorway, and this pattern has just gone into testing. This is going to be, I guess I can let you in on, no, hang on. Yeah, it's gonna be a free pattern the week of Christmas, so December 18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere in there. This is gonna go out free as a thank you, because I only started designing and putting out and selling socks this year, and sock patterns, and I can't get over the support and the loveliness from people anyway, so I wanted to say thank you. And I also think this would be a super fun Christmas Eve cast on, because, oh, ends. We've just got stockinette on the back, this great textured pattern on the front, which, I kid you not, has 2 rounds that you have to do something, really only 1 that you have to think about. And my tester feedback so far, people are getting back to me and I'm asking them, would this be something that you would do? So for a Christmas Eve cast on, and the feedback has been 100% yes. It's just a step up from vanilla. It's got a lot of vanilla in it, a lot of plain knitting that it just, you know, makes your fingers just dance and move on their own, but just a little something to keep you going, because sometimes vanilla can be a little boring. So this is using the Let's Stay Home colorway from the creative knitter Stephanie, that she kindly sent me this sock set, and I was thrilled and of course happy to do a design in it. So more details will be coming up on this in December. And I don't think I'll probably show this again in design chat, because really I've showed it to you a few times as works in progress. I haven't completely finished it. I keep going to finish and think, no, I want to do a little video tutorial for doing the cable without a cable needle, which is my favorite way to do it. I did a version for my testers, but the light was terrible and it's not great, but they've got a copy of that, but I can't put that in the pattern because the focus was struggling because the light was not good. It's November in the Northern Hemisphere and we're not getting a lot of daylight these days. So I need to wait for a nice sunny day, maybe tomorrow, and I'll get that tutorial done, then I can get these finished. So that is, let me check my list after saying that. Yeah. That's the last whip that I have. I am going to need to have to cast on something else soon, just because I don't have enough on my needles to keep me going for another 9 days until December 1st. So I need to be pretty brutal. I need to get out all my knitted gifts and assign people to them and see if I've got anything missing yet. I haven't done that yet. Anybody else behind the 8 ball this year on Christmas? It's November 21st today. You're going to see this on Wednesday the 23rd. Because we had such a beautiful autumn here, I just feel like I'm not with it. I've ordered Christmas pajamas. The Old Navy box came with the Christmas pajamas for everybody. That's all I've done. Now, we're all adults. I don't do a lot for my grown-up kids. As far as extra gifts and stuff, because, you know, everybody's making their own money, but I do try to do some nice little thing. Anyway, I'm behind the 8 ball. I need to grab, they're all up there, all of the knitting gifts that I put aside, get my list and be brutal and honest with myself as to who's actually going to want what I've made. And if there's any holes, I need to fill that in with, we'll see, probably socks. I have to say, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last one, I've got the hand crank tubes from Leanne, and they're great. I'm not enjoying the process. The heels, toes, and cuffs are probably my least favorite part of the sock. Yeah, I guess that's a fair assessment. I don't know. If it feels more like work, I'm not enjoying it as much as I really thought they were going to be a fast solution for me for Christmas gifts. And all I want to do is hand knit socks for my loved ones instead of giving them the tubes. I feel, part of me feels maybe like it's a bit of a cop-out. It's all in my head. You do you, people. But this is the commentary that's going in my head. The tubes are awesome. I just am not necessarily enjoying the process of turning them into socks. All right. have a little sip. But that was a lot of talking. I'm going to show you a little craft adjacent. If you have followed me on Instagram for a while, every year about this time, I kind of show a few Christmas cards or paper crafty things that I get up to. I used to do a lot of paper crafts after cross stitch. Paper crafts kind of came a thing. You know, we all went through these phases, I think, if you're of a certain age. You know, crafting trends change, and, you know, our passions and our time and our brain space. Anyway, so when I was in Fredericton yesterday and Saturday with our daughter, she loves paper crafts and has done a lot and does a lot of Christmas cards. And I'd suggested, why don't we get together and do them together? Because it's a lot of fun. You know, drink wine, chit chat. We can do things in bulk, do some of the tedious stuff for each other. And yeah, so that's what we did. We did Saturday night and most of the day, Sunday, until we came home. We sat at her little craft table in front of the fireplace and made Christmas cards. So I just thought I'd show you a few of what we got up to. So this year I used to stitch, punch through the cardboard and stitch onto the paper. It takes a lot of time, and with knitting becoming the primary passion and focus, I just don't have time or the resources or the desire to do it. So I've switched to just specific paper. So this is one of the templates we're going to use for this year. No, it's this way. Yeah, ho, 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 running up the side with a stack of sparkly presents. And I know I could buy cards, it'd probably be cheaper, but I already own all of this stuff, glittery paper and bedazzly gems and cardstock. And so anyway, this is another one. And I think this one's kind of my favorite, I think. Anyway, Joy to the World. So I have to sit down this week. I have a pile of these presents pre-made and beribboned. So I need to sit down this week and get those ready to go so my overseas Christmas cards can get in the post soon. But yeah, we made a whole bunch of cards, and yeah, it was fun. So I thought I'd share that with you. Even though it's not knitting, it's crafty themed. And yeah. You know what I forgot to do right at the beginning? I hit 2,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and awesome. Love you guys. There's been a ton of new subscribers lately. Thank you. Welcome. I'm going to do a giveaway, and I'm going to have to do some little typing way back at the beginning to say stay tuned for the giveaway, because I completely forgot to mention it. Yeah, completely forgot to mention it. It wasn't in my intro notes. This is the weakness of notes. If you don't make good notes. All right. So I'm going to do a giveaway a little later on for my 2,000 subscribers. I will show you that. So we just have a little design chat. Acquisitions, I'll have to reset for that because, oh my word, I did some shopping and things kind of all came at once. And I think I'd mentioned the last podcast, I was going out to La Violette to look at the Briggs & Little Unspun. Yep. So we'll do acquisitions in a few. So design chat. The biggest thing is when this video goes live, these Sliptastic socks will be available for purchase on Ravelry. And as I have done with all of my socks, bar one, this is going to be a charity. For the first week, all the proceeds from this sock, so I charge $5 Canadian. So if your exchange rate is good against Canadian, most are. Our exchange rate is, our dollar is quite weak. It's quite an expensive pattern on Ravelry, and all of the funds that I raise in that first 7 days are going to my local food bank. The world is a crazy place. Food inflation, the price of fuel, everything seems so expensive. And I want to donate to something boots on the ground that's going to get the money to local families, local to me families in the Maritimes, in my city, Moncton, New Brunswick, that need help over Christmas. hopefully that they can make their Christmas special for their kids. So this is what's happening. These Sliptastic, did I tell you the name? Sliptastic DK socks. So I've knit this in Yard Indulgence's DK sock, which is a 75-25 blend in the colorway Emily and Steel Teal. My testers have done a mix of DK yarn and worsted. I was curious about the difference in the gauge between using a DK and 2 fingering held double, which is fundamentally worsted, but it depends on your fingering. I didn't tell you the yarns. These are Knit Pick Stroll, and this is quite a plump fingering weight yarn. So it feels thicker and they feel very squishy, but the gauge is still, all intents and purposes, the same that's listed in the pattern for this. So the pattern will have weights. The Ravelry page, sorry, will have, you know, yarn suggestions for fingering weight held double. Yeah, so that's what's coming out for you today. It'll be Wednesday, 23rd of November. I'm hoping to beat the Black Friday hoo-ha and the US Thanksgiving craziness. And if you aren't interested in buying a new sock pattern, I completely understand it. But if you see my links on Instagram, if you could favorite and like it in Ravelry, that does help it get seen a lot. And perhaps somebody will see it who would like to grab a copy and help me make a fantastic donation to my local food bank. That's it for Design Chat right now. I've got, as I said, the Creative Knitter Christmas Eve cast-on socks are in testing now, and they will be coming to you in December right before Christmas as a present from me to you. And I have nothing else on the needles as far as testing, as design goes. A couple ideas, things that might be coming up soon, but as I said, December is, I want it to be lovely, brainless, comfort knitting for myself. All right. Moving on, I think I'm going to have to pause to reset. Yes, I'm going to pause and reset, and I will be back to talk giveaway. And then if you aren't interested in acquisitions, because it is quite yarn pig heavy today, you can say goodbye and leave me then. Hang on. The nice thing about having to pause and kind of move things around and reset is it causes me to slow down. I feel like as I get going, I'm talking faster and faster and faster, and I apologize if that's the case. I do get a little rambly. So I had done some online ordering to support, as we've talked about, Fiona, and Full Moon Fibres are 2 sisters from Ontario, and they had come out to PEI to do their first show out here and had it get canceled. And then when they got home, they got COVID. So their shop update was delayed. So I was stalking their shop, waiting to grab some goodies from them because I wanted to support them, because I would have shopped from them if they had been in PEI. So my friend Leanne and I in St. John actually did a shared order, and then Leanne's husband was working in the area and dropped my order off to me not long after I podcasted last time. So these have been sitting here and I've been staring at them going, ooh. So I bought a couple of things. I mentioned these in my Halifax vlog, these little donut needle stoppers, because every time I show you something on 16-inch circulars. However, I didn't. That Cargill cowl. Hello, color's gone funny. Brighten up. There we go. Okay, look at the camera. The donuts did it, apparently. I tend to always drop stitches off my 16-inch circs for some reason. I never have stitch stoppers. I saw these on their website, these cute little donuts, and thought, yes, yes, yes. And then promptly didn't put them on my needles because I wanted to show you them before they disappeared into a project bag. Now I've showed them to you, I can use them. And then I had to pick up, this is Team Cuff Up, Full Moon Fibres. So this is Solar Sock, and I just have a feeling this is going to kind of microstripe fun. It's a nice plump plump sock yarn. But I loved the colors with the mauves and the greens, and yeah. So one of those I had to have. It will go into my sock yarn stash. I said I have a feeling it's going to microstripe, so I'd probably want to do something with more vertical kind of lines in the pattern, or vanilla. But you know my feelings on vanilla. I'd rather have a pattern. And then I picked up, now this is in the plastic. I'm going to see what the glare is like. I may pause and take it out. There. Actually, I'm going to pause and take it out. Hang on. Yeah, you definitely didn't want to be here for that. It was very noisy. I struggled to get it out. So this is actually a shawl kit, but I probably won't do a shawl. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but the colors were just, it's coming up. It's more a minty green than the turquoise that's showing here. So this is, I did one slub base that's called Kale Me About It. And the other mohair is Encourage Mint. Actually, yeah. I said it's coming up a little bluer on screen than it is, but I just thought these were super fun together. And I said it was sold as a shawl kit, but I probably will not knit a shawl. Who knows what I'll knit, but it was just so pretty. It had to come home to live with me. So that's the other thing. And then I saw in their clearance section a sock blank, and you know my feelings about sock blanks. So this is still the same solar base, 80/20, and the color is Phosphorescence, and this just looked so much fun. Yeah, the colors are showing pretty true. These bright greens and the shots of purple, and I can't wait to knit this up. So if you haven't heard me talk about sock blanks before, this is a piece of knitted fabric that's been dyed, and then you just grab, there's one end that you can knit from and one end that you can't. You grab the end that you can knit from and it just pulls out, and you knit right from the blank. You can cake it up. I love knitting with the crinkly yarn and seeing how it knits up right from the blank. I want to see the fabric that it came from and the fabric that it's making. I love that process. So I think my Christmas Eve cast on this year is going to be, I've got a couple of sock blanks, one from Amanda Sweet Skein of mine, and this one that I'm thinking that I might use for one of my Christmas cast-ons. Or I'm very lucky where our business is closed between Christmas and New Year, so I have 9 days off, I think, this year between Christmas and my actual days back to work. So and we've got, you know, some small family bits and pieces to do, but we don't have a big social circle. Here in Moncton, we only have my parents here and one son here, and then our daughter is an hour and a half away. Anyway, I digress. I get a lot of knitting time over Christmas. This is kind of hitting the joy point for me, maybe for a Christmas knit. Socks, of course. Need you ask? Socks. So that was my full moon fiber order. Plus the donut stitch markers, stitch stoppers. And then, oh, it's in plastic again. Hang on. Sorry. So, my apologies. Kim and Colin from Ginger Snap, they had a sale in their shop on a Saturday. I think they got snowed out of a show. They couldn't go to a show because there was a bit of a snowstorm out west. They are in Calgary, Alberta, and they have had an early start to winter. So she had put a discount up on Instagram and was advertising a sale, and I was at work and it was quiet, and I went on and I had a little shop. So this is gorgeous, and if you know me, it's kind of my kind of in my wheelhouse. It's called Weather, They had a whole line called Oxidized or Oxidized. Anyway, that it was an older line, and I was looking for a sweater quantity in this, but there was only one left. So it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon from Kim and Colin at Ginger Snap. So this will be shock socks at some point in the future. Love these little pops of speckles there in the lighter colors. Yummy. And they've also been advertising a new tweed, it was new this year, a tweed base, confetti tweed fingering. So it's an 85-15 superwash merino nylon, 100 grams. And this is the Blue Skies colorway. I picked up 3 skeins of this. I have in mind a cardigan. It's kind of neutral, but not. Would look great with dark denim or black. My work is casual because I'm the boss and I say it is. We wear aprons with our names on them over our street clothes. So as long as, yeah, we wear whatever we want, basically. We're all grown up. Why am I telling you this? Moving on. Back to the yarn. I'm thinking maybe Rebel Rebel by Truly Myrtle, Libby Johnson. I have one already, and I wore it a ton this autumn. It's an open front, no buttons. I'll put a picture in, and I'll link my old Ravelry page. I've made it once before. I wore that so much this autumn. It's just a great transitional piece. It's 3/4 sleeves, but it could, actually, I think it's more bracelet, but it's got a fun cuff detail, and it's open, and you knit the button bands as you go, but there are no button holes and buttons. It's just like a edging. Is that what we would call it? An edging? Anyway, I thought this would be good for a neutral one that I could wear any color of t-shirt underneath, with a pair of jeans. And that would be awesome in the spring or autumn around here when a t-shirt just isn't enough. Or my husband has the air conditioning turned to Arctic and I need an extra layer, which happens as well. So that was my order from Ginger Snap. Came quickly and lovely. Thank you, Kim and Colin. And then I had said, I'm just going to get rid of that plastic, sorry. I was going out to La Violette with my friend Deborah Yarn Indulgences to go and see Mana at the store to have a look at the Briggs and Little Roving and whatever else caught my eye. So I did get Briggs and Little Country Roving and cream, you say. And so did Deborah and Manon at the store when I was looking at the different colors and ended up picking this. I was wearing a cream commercial sweater that day. And it's so nice to have something neutral that I can wear. If I'm gonna wear a shawl, I need something neutral to go with it. Or a cowl or whatever. Some of these busy color work, crazy variegated, then you put like a variegated shawl or cowl over top and you look like a crazy woman. Or I look like a crazy woman. When I go to work with the non-knitting people that come in my store and I work with. So what I decided to do, anyway, back to this Briggs and Little Country Roving. So I wanted to show you. So this is this unspun yarn. So you can see there are actually, I don't know what it looks like. There are 5. I kind of pulled one off to see how fragile it was. So there are 5 strands of this roving on this cake. Manon suggested having a wine and cheese party with 4 friends that we could wind up these and make individual balls. Because that's what needs to happen. All of these need to be unwound and then rewound back up into single ply or double ply if you're going to hold it that way. Originally, I was thinking double ply. I was going to hold it, 2 strands of it together, and I'm going to make a ranunculus. I know it's boring and I should do something else, but I'm going to make a ranunculus. But I had a change of heart as we were there for quite a while. We were yakking, and look at the size of it. This was not expensive. for what it is. And if the knitting is pleasurable, I'll definitely be doing it again. Instead, it's just some assembly required before I can actually knit it. So if you've been watching podcasts, like Selma, Little Big Knits, Leanne, Knitty Stew, Nikki, Knitting with Cat Hair, knitting with unspun yarn is becoming a thing. Newtoden, I talked about it last time. Anyway, so if you weren't here last time, but I want to take part. I'm intrigued by this whole process and procedure. I'm a bit of a spinner now too. So I would kind of, anyway, I'm intrigued. I said it last time, I'm intrigued. So, but as I was wandering around the store and we were chatting as to why the heck I'd chosen cream, not this beautiful, deep, tealy, blue, petrol-y color that everybody thought I was going to get, I saw this. So this is Drops Kid Silk mohair lace, and thought, so single strand, I've got 3 balls of this mohair. I looked because I just flung one across the room when I was trying to unravel or unwrap one of the yarns out of the plastic. I've got 3 skeins of this Drops Kid Silk. It's just natural, undyed maybe, but natural cream. So I'm going to make a ranunculus with 1 strand of the Briggs & Little roving and 1 strand of the mohair, and it's going to be scrumptious. I think this is probably going to happen in December. I'm not talking about December plans today, but I can't help myself. I think it's going to happen in December. I will we'll talk more about Christmas dream knitting and Advents and Christmas prep. I'm going to do a little video next week with things like that. It won't be nearly as long as this this is going to be, which is why I had to separate it out. I was going to do it all today, and realistically, it's not going to happen. Not with the amount that I chat, plus the things that I had to show you. Anywho, the other thing I picked up at La Violette is some Pima cotton for, hang on one sec, get up close and personal with you there. I forgot to bring this. I want to make some knitted knockers. I see them online all the time. So these are for women who've had mastectomies, as a more comfortable option to wear in their bras, because the Pima cotton is soft, it breathes. So the pattern is on here, and size wise and what they recommend. So you can get multiple knockers out of 1 skein. And this, I just picked like a skin tone kind of color. I didn't, some of them I've seen are wild and crazy, but I figured I would pick my kind of skin tone. That's not very inclusive. My apologies. I picked this pretty kind of blush pink to do. So that's kind of on my radar because I've been intrigued. I've wanted to do this for a while. I've been seeing lots on social media about it, and it was October at the time. So I picked that up from Menal as well. All right. That is it for acquisitions. I said I was going to do the giveaway first. Oh, good grief. I apologize. I made you sit all the way through those acquisitions if you didn't want to. Sorry. What I may do, if I'm clever, is I'll put a timestamp up for the giveaway. My apologies. Okay. So instead I'm going to have more wine. Oh, spinning. Anybody care what I've been spinning? I put a new spin on my little Nano last week, just because I hadn't spun in a couple of weeks and I was feeling the need for that de-stress kind of meditation vibe. So I had this in my stash. Just 100% superwash merino, I do believe. I have actually 2 braids of this, but I just grabbed one out, and I'm planning on doing a 2-ply. So I'm trying to spin a little bit thicker. As I've said before, I tend to default quite thin. So this is the first full bobbin. I just split it down the middle, and I'm just spinning it end to end. And then I will ply it So this is one full bobbin, and then when the other one is done, I will just ply them together to be, I don't know what, in its future. You know, it would be a fun contrast for a yoke or a cowl or a, who knows. I don't spin necessarily with a project. Well, I very rarely spin with a project in mind. I have a sweater quantity of fiber that I would like to actually spin, but I feel just too scattered for that a lot of days. I just want to spin for the enjoyment. I don't want to have to worry about yarn, the yarn that I'm making at the end of it. So this is just for fun. No technical side of it really, just trying to keep it not too thin. So if it's 2-ply, it'll come up with a solid fingering sport and not a lace weight. Yeah, so that's what I've been spinning. Good thing I turned around to grab the giveaway. So, giveaway. As I said, I reached over 2,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and yay, welcome, thank you. I hope you enjoy the chit chat and general chaos, I guess. I try to be organized, but again, this is a hobby and it's not necessarily as professional as a lot of things you can see out there. But I did want to say thank you for being here and hanging out with me. It's lovely to know that there are people watching, and then you leave comments and we chit chat, and that's a joy. So please feel free to give me a like and leave me a comment. That's going to be required, actually. Back up. So for the giveaway, I wear this knitter bracelet from Dodo Leather Crafts. They are a couple who live local to me. I will have their Etsy shop linked below. They are a delightful young couple who originate from the Ukraine, and they are super busy doing lots of fundraisers, but they make leather goods custom, and they do have things in their Etsy shop to purchase. So great time of year. They ship worldwide. I had them make these custom bracelets for me. They do these bracelets with just names on them, but I had them do me some knitter ones in different colors. I had picked up a few of them, one for me and then several for gifts that I've given away to people. This is the last one, which means I need to order some more, so I have some for my stash. But I thought I would love to give you one of these leather cuff knitter bracelets. It's in this beautiful kind of light beige going to mustardy kind of color. So that's the first thing in the giveaway. The giveaway, I will ship this worldwide, and depending on where it's going, it may get here before Christmas. The other thing is I grabbed this beautiful skein. Amanda, sweet skein of mine. She lives in Fredericton, which is where my daughter lives. So only about an hour and a half away. We were supposed to meet up yesterday for a little chit chat and perhaps a coffee, but she wasn't feeling so great, so we've postponed. But I wanted to share Amanda's lovely yarn with you. This is Holi-daze, and I got her advent calendar last year, and this was the main skein that was in the advent calendar. So beautiful pops and speckles and just fun. So it's a sock yarn. It's an 80/20 BFL nylon, beautiful for socks. So I have a proposal. Enter the giveaway, whether you're a sock knitter or not. If you are a sock knitter and want to knit this yarn up yourself, I will flat pack and ship you the yarn. It will be vacuum sealed, sent letter mail with the bracelet. If you are not a sock knitter or have no interest in knitting socks in this beautiful yarn, the prize is I will knit you a pair of socks. Anybody interested in that? I know, there's a lot of us out there that knit socks, but there's a lot of knitters who never knit socks because they don't like the process. So if that's you, if you would love a pair of hand knit socks in this sweet skein of mine, Holi-daze yarn, please still enter the giveaway. And then if you say, yeah, Nance, I'm not interested in, I don't want the skein, I want the socks, then we'll talk. Then you can pick a pattern. We can talk about, you know, I can customize it size-wise, or anyway, so this is the prize. Either the yarn from Sweet Skein of Mine or socks knit up in this yarn that I will send to you. If you choose the socks knit up for you, I cannot guarantee, oh, I can guarantee you it won't be before Christmas. The yarn may make it before Christmas. Okay? So I'm going to be releasing this video on November 23rd, and I'm going to be doing another video to release next week. So let's say that this draw ends on November 29th. So November 29th of 2022, enter the draw before then, and then I will do a draw before I record my next video, and we'll go from there about shipping or knitting socks. That way, if it is just the socks and if it is just the yarn, I can get it out right away, and you may get it for Christmas. If it's socks, I have to apologize. You will not get it before Christmas, but it will be lovely in January as well. Okay, so to enter to win the leather cuff bracelet and the yarn from Amanda Sweet Skein of Mine or socks made by moi, please leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already, like the video, and leave me a comment down below and tell me what you've been knitting on while I've been rabbiting on, or what you've been drinking while I've been rabbiting on. I love to know. Sometimes it's tea, coffee, hot chocolate. Sometimes I get beautiful wine suggestions and cocktail ideas in the comments. So any comment will enter, but if you're looking for an idea, just tell me what you've been knitting on while I've been talking, or what you've been drinking while I've been talking. And I will do that draw on the 29th of November. I'll close it, do the random picker, comment picker on YouTube, and I will announce it on my Advent video that's going to be out next week. All right. So I think that's it. I've rabbited and talked along all the way. You can tell I have, because I still have quite a few glugs of wine, and I have fluff stuck to my lips. So this will be out Wednesday the 23rd. If you're interested in those DK Sliptastic socks, follow the links below on Ravelry, and that'll take you right to it. And I wish you a happy knitting week until I see you next. It'll be a lot closer together, the next two videos, just because Christmas is coming, folks, and the fun month, the fun knitting month for me is starting. So I want to share what I'm going to be up to. Happy knitting. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you're all well. Cheers.